You want me to put that on my Tudor?
Harry's wife, car chase, video analysis. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Many of you are aware of the car chase. Yes, a near catastrophic one apparently, involving highly aggressive paparazzi who apparently formed a ring around Harry's wife and Harry. That it involved near collisions, repeated ones. This was issued via a statement from the spokesperson for Harry and Harry's wife in order to ensure that as many news outlets talked about it, and then was amplified by, of course, the mouthpiece who's not a mouthpiece, who is a mouthpiece, the improbably named plastic-faced Omid Scobie. We've been looking at the evidence. Of course, anything that Harry's wife says and does is rightfully treated with scepticism, given her track record of telling porky pies. For instance, smouldering heater turns into an inferno that threatened child. That purported miscarriage, or what's become known as the myth carriage, resulted in her somehow clutching onto one child whilst falling to the floor sobbing and singing a lullaby. Here we have an instance of a high-speed car chase, which, as more evidence comes out, not only did the proposition of a 2-hour speeding car chase around Manhattan sound preposterous of itself, but also defies logic. Why would you keep driving around for 2 hours when there's plenty of places you could go to find safety? It's not like you're trying to outrun the police. You're just trying to outrun some photographers. Indeed, why on earth would Harry's wife want to outrun photographers? She loves being photographed. She regularly organises for them to take pictures of her. Because generally speaking, who's going to be interested in one of our Jowers who's missing, going on a shopping trip? But the examination of the evidence provides us with an opportunity to understand the role of evidence vis-a-vis the narcissist, and also in this particular instance, take it apart bit by bit to expose Harry's wife's continual need to lie. Here we've got some video footage from the actual taxi that Harry's wife was in. Let's play the footage and then examine what we find. Here it comes.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Guys, if you can just stand up Guys, I need some space, please.
Yes, sir.
Guys, let's get some space, okay? Let's get some space. Some space if you don't mind, okay?
They'll go straight. They turn.
Well, first of all, it's important to note that we only see just over a minute's worth from apparently a 2-hour chase. Although, of course, as even the liberal New York mayor has said, he'd find a 2-hour chase in Manhattan hard to believe. So one suspects that it doesn't really be a chase for 2 hours. And that's an exaggeration. Exaggeration is a form of grandiosity that is utilised by narcissists to make them more important than they actually are for the purposes of the prime aims. Nevertheless, it still is only a short piece of footage, and therefore we don't have the entire picture, but it is useful and representative of what has gone on. What do we see? Well, first of all, the taxi's stationary. I didn't see much catastrophic taking place, did you? No. There's nothing high speed about it either. We can see as the pictures are being taken by presumably the individual who's also filming it, that there's the taxi driver, puts his hand up, and a bodyguard sat in the front. We can hear sirens in the middle distance. Repeated pictures are being taken, and at this juncture, it only looks like there's one paparazzo not hordes of them as was described. The bodyguard then exits the vehicle and politely asks this photographer to back up. He's compliant. Yes, sir, he responds, but then immediately goes back towards the taxi and starts taking pictures through the windows. You can see Harry's phone held up as he engages in his own brilliant filmmaking, perhaps for the purpose of another shitflix documentary. The bodyguard then approaches again, saying, "Guys, we need some space." Another photographer then appears on the right-hand side, making it appear that there's at least two. Again, the bodyguard says, "Guys, let's give some space." He's controlled and polite throughout. At this point, it looks like there's at least three photographers. The one who's doing the filming and taking photos, one on the right-hand side, and another out to the left who the bodyguard spoke to. It's not hordes of photographers. They're getting close, but they're not banging on the car. They're not shouting. They're not screaming. They're not heckling. They're just taking photographs. Indeed, it actually looks like it's just one person taking most of the photographs and the other two are just hanging around. The sirens continue in the background, and then another bodyguard comes up, presumably from a following vehicle, as the taxi then sets off. Two NYPD vehicles follow, but they're not driving at excessive speed. The paparazzi follows on foot, not driving aggressively, although of course that could have been something that had taken place in footage that we've not seen, or it simply didn't happen. Furthermore, as the cars drive off, interestingly, the two NYPD vehicles take a right turn as the taxi heads off to the left. That suggests to my mind that these police vehicles actually had nothing to do with the taxi and were doing something else, going somewhere else. Notice the paparazzi, where the taxi slows down to make a turn, he doesn't immediately come racing towards the vehicle, but he indicates and explains where it's going, and then the footage stops. This does not portray a high-speed, near-catastrophic police chase involving the paparazzi and there being near misses. Now, if it took over 2 hours, this is but a fragment of it, and in the interest of balance, we must recognise that. But let us assume that this is the representative behaviour of the paparazzi. They were, of course, ignoring requests to back off. They were getting close. But beyond that, they weren't hostile. We've also seen the photographs of Harry's wife, see parts pass him, where she's smirking like the cat that got the cream. She's hardly frightened or perturbed. Indeed, she's drinking up all of the fuel that's being provided. But once again, here is evidence. And the evidence does not stack up with the nonsense that the Sussexes have put out. Admittedly, this is just but a fragment of what has occurred, but it nevertheless is an instructive fragment. And it shows the way by which Harry's wife massages the truth, and that when information such as this comes out, it demonstrates that she's telling lies. I should imagine that more footage will emerge in the days that come, probably showing similar activity to that we've witnessed. A small number of paparazzi, not the hordes that were described, and possibly showing that it's the security detail that were causing the problems with the driving. As has been repeatedly stated, there's no need to drive off at speed. Not only in some instances could they not because of the level of traffic that occurs in Manhattan, but the simple fact is, all they need to do is drive to a place of safety, get out, get photographed, and go into the police precinct, go into the hotel, go into the friend's home, and that's it. Their behaviour is ridiculous, and the behaviour was ridiculous because it was manufactured. And this evidence continues to support that. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for watching.